Joanna, can you help me out and pass one of these out to each person in here, please? Thank you. Okay, so you are going to need, well, actually, I'll pull up the article from my Canvas, so you guys don't even need your Canvas book, your Chromebook today. Okay. Megan will need to pull up her information from online. That way she can follow along with us. Hello, Blake. Sure, why that's not pulling up what I have on here. Let me do attendance real quick, like guys. Ryan, Ava, Colby. Okay, done with that. Last 2 days. That's one. Accidentally disconnect the cords up there. Okay. Make sure this is what's being shared. Oh, fabulous. Okay, so here is the first page of the article. It's not necessarily what's needed for you guys to answer the questions that are before you, but it is interesting information. And I would say it'd be information you'd need for LEAP, but that's done. Okay. Your LEAP test on day 1, Mariah, I'll just put you in at that. You guys can hold just a moment while I email front office to let her know that students came in within a minute of me marking her absent. I appreciate your patience, guys. All right. Yay. Okay, now my smart board is where it needs to be. All right, Megan, can you see Wednesday, May 5th, an article on screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Fabulous. Now all my students can see the same thing. Yes? It's only taken us 20 minutes to get there between people coming in and out of my class and me getting an email to 2 people and getting technology caught up. Okay, so you guys saw on the test that there was stuff on the social studies test we haven't covered yet. Some of that's what we're going to cover in the next couple weeks. I would say just don't even worry about it, but you guys have anywhere from 6 to 10 grades in social studies because I've gone back. Kimber, are you okay? Okay. I've gone back and graded everything you have done for me in social studies back in March and February. Everything is graded. Y'all need more grades. Okay. A lot of people's grades are suffering. And in March, people are getting very lazy about their written responses. Let's show that we actually know what we're doing when we write something. Okay. All right. So. Yes, ma'am.
Toby May is here today.
She just came in. So yes.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh. Joanna, if you could read the first paragraph for us loud and clear so Megan can hook up that paragraph there. You don't have it on your page. Loudly and clearly so Megan can hopefully hear you. All right. Come over here. This desk. Hopefully you can see it better there. Can you read it louder?
Almost no cotton was grown in the United States.
increase
increase in
production.
production resulted in the so-called cotton
Boom.
and by the 1860s, cotton became the key cash crop of the Southern economy and the most important American
Commodity.
commodity.
So between 1787 and 1860, in an 83-year time period, it went from being a crop that wasn't grown at all in America to being the most important moneymaker in our country. Okay, that's what all that means. Go ahead.
During the same time, many factories in the northern states, and even
Europe.
began to produce clothing,
Linen.
and other goods that were all made of cotton.
Okay. So where was the cotton being grown? No. Where was the cotton being grown? What part of the United States?
Northern.
No, you guys are in the southern part of the country. You guys are looking for a fast answer instead of listening to what Joanna was reading and paying attention. It was being grown, as it says, key cash crop of the southern economy. It was being grown in the South. And then it was being made into a product in the northern states and Europe. What product was it being made into? Cloth, to make clothing. Okay, so the raw product, cotton, we're not going to start moving desks all around. The raw product was being grown in the South. It was being made into cloth and clothing in the northern factories. Remember we talked about factories in the north and in Europe. So it's not like we take cotton and just glue those cotton balls on us, right? It has to be made into clothing, right? We're wearing clothing right now. Most of it's made of cotton, but it's not that we're, wearing cotton balls. Y'all see the difference? Okay, thank you. You want to sit back there? Okay. I'll read second paragraph because I don't know if Megan could hear her if she was reading loudly. To become a cotton planter, there were some risks involved. Risk refers to taking a chance on something that could return a profit or it could return a loss. Many planters would purchase farms, machinery, or labor with the dreams of making a large profit for themselves and their families. Profit refers to the money you make after all your expenses have been paid. Many different factors could impact the planter's ability of making a profit. Storm, insects, droughts, to name just a few, could destroy a planter's crop, making him lose everything. Guys, we see pictures of these big plantations or even big pieces of property, and you forget that a lot of times the big home on it was oftentimes smaller than the homes we live in now. The home I live in is 3,500 square feet. That's a big house. It's a ranch house. It's an old ranch house that needs a lot of work done to it. Built in the late 60s. It needs a lot of work done to it. Like the roof needs work. The lines on the edge of the house, called fascias, the edges, they're leaky. The house needs work. Plantations were old too. They needed work. That cost money. It was a risk to own those. Those property pieces, it cost a lot to keep them going. If you had insects that came through, like locusts, they could come in and destroy the farm. If tobacco seeds were astronomically priced for a while because they became profitable. So just a few seeds might cost hundreds, which would be worth tens of thousands of dollars worth. Now, that was really hard to get a hold of. What if those seeds were counterfeit? And that happened quite a bit back then. Or what if those seeds were, something was wrong with them, they were sick, they had virus in them, they didn't grow. Those were major risks. And we don't see that now because we just see the houses that are still standing. Those are houses they've had to put millions of dollars into restoring to make them still stand. Just like the business my husband and I run, there's major risks involved, lots of expenses involved, and people just see the fact that it can be profitable. There's so much risk involved that banks often will not give you loans on these businesses because the risk is higher than the profit. They won't give my husband and I loans on his business. They'll give me loans on my job because mine's guaranteed money. His is not. They say his job is a loss. It's not. It often has a lot of, well, not a lot, but it has money that comes in, more than my job. But you guys have heard me say his income got split. He was making 5 times as much as I make until this past year. Now he makes what I make. Think about that. So he went from making 200 grand a year to making 40 grand. That's a big risk, isn't it? That's the kind of risk that the people on these farms would make. So that's what they mean by risk. Does that make more sense when I put numbers to it? Restaurants are big risk businesses too. Current big risk business. Tanning salons, they're the biggest risk business out there. I used to own one. Out of every 100 tanning salons, less than 1 will actually make it the first year. That's a huge risk. Restaurants, I believe the rate is out of every 100, 10 or so will make it to a year. Not very good, is it? But tanning salons are notorious for going under. To be able to make a profit, planters had to grow and supply cotton at a price that was not too expensive. Price refers to the amount of money needed to purchase something, while supply refers to offering goods or services for sale. Planters had to keep their costs down. This would, that should have been period. This would allow them to supply cotton at a price that, also, oh, they had to shut the door. This would allow them to supply cotton at a price that would increase demand for people or factories to purchase their cotton. So just imagine, we buy our clothes, me anyway, because they're not too expensive, right? There are some people that are real snooty and they're like, oh, that's too cheap, I don't want to buy it, it must not be good. But most of us sitting in this room, we look for clothes that are not too expensive, don't we? Right? Especially your parents. If your shirt went from being 15 bucks to suddenly 50, your parental unit would be like, bye, I'm going somewhere else, right? So the people here are saying the same thing. They had to supply cotton to their buyers, because you have a middle buyer who sells it to another buyer. They had to supply cotton at a price that would increase demand for people or factories to purchase their cotton. So they had to keep the price of their cotton reasonable. If something happened and made their cotton become too expensive, let's say cotton weevils got into their plant and ate up a bunch of their plants. And so a lot of their cotton was destroyed. So they had to increase the cost of their price of their cotton. The buyers wouldn't want to pay that high price. If they could go somewhere else and get the cotton cheaper, they're going to go somewhere else and get the cotton cheaper. That makes sense? Just like your parents, Michaela, I need you paying attention, okay? Just like your parents, if they can go somewhere else and get their groceries a whole lot cheaper, they probably will, right? If they can go to Walmart versus they could go to a really, really ritzy, expensive grocery store, they're going to go to Walmart, right? And a lot of us do. Price refers to the amount of money needed to purchase something. Supply refers to the offering of goods or services for sale. And demand refers to the desire people have to purchase a certain good or service. Who in here likes extreme sour, the candy? There's only a couple people like those extreme sours, those strips of candy that are rainbow colored. Y'all know what I'm talking about, right?
No.
Yeah, the Airheads. Airhead extreme sours. Okay. I haven't had a Sam's membership in a while, but I can tell you when I go on Sam's Club, check out prices, they're sold out all the time. Meaning the demand for Airhead extreme sours is high. Demand refers to desire people have to purchase a certain good or service. The demand for Airhead extreme sours is high. It used to be that stores could sell Airhead extreme sours for the same price they could sell the other candies. Now it costs more than other candies. Why?
Because it's good.
No. Because everybody buys it. The demand for it's higher. They could make more of it, but they keep the demand high and the supply a little bit lower than the demand. Therefore, the demand stays high, supply a little bit lower, and they can keep that price higher. Everybody understand that? Pencils aren't that expensive. We all need them, right? Demand's high in August. July and August, there's a lot of demand for pencils. They make enough for us. Therefore, demand matches supply. And the price stays pretty low. That makes sense? PlayStation 5, price is high because demand is high and they don't make enough supply to match that demand. Everybody get that? Am I making sense out of my supply demand thing? Because if you understand it in fourth grade, it's going to make it easier for you because you're going to keep coming back to that they're going to keep coming back to the same thing, supply and demand in middle school, high school, and college. And if you can get it at a base level in fourth grade, it's going to make it a whole lot easier for you when you get older. Okay. All these factors played a considerable part in the production and sale of cotton during the 1800s. In this activity, you will investigate how supply, demand, and price impacted cotton production in these states. Okay. Now everything else that's in here, in this, Megan has digital and you guys have in your packet before you. Okay. I'll read it only so she can hear me because I got a loud mouth. No surprise there. And you guys can answer your questions. Okay. And yes, this is worth points. It's 10 points. Okay. The cotton gin. So cotton gin was a very basic tool, but it allowed people to quickly separate seeds from cotton. Let me pull up a picture of what a cotton boll looked like. Okay, so this is cotton. Inside it, okay, where'd my cursor go? Hello, cursor. Inside the cotton, there are little seeds. And this little piece right here is very sharp. When people have been separating the cotton, the floofy part from this part for hours on end, it tends to scratch their hands and cut their hands. And you know, when you guys are working fast, you sometimes get cut, don't you? When you've been doing it for hours and hours and hours, you have to get fast and your hands just get sliced. Your hands get dry. They just do. That's just the nature of it. let's see, cotton boll with seeds. I want you guys to see the seeds on the inside. Okay, so there's little seeds in there. Those seeds need to be pulled out of the cotton, and it's a pain to get to. So the cotton gin took care of that. It separated all that. Okay, they made quick work of it. Can you see this, the pictures I'm showing, Megan?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Okay, so let me get back to the cotton gin. Let me pull up Eli Whitney's cotton gin. Pull this up on a separate one so I don't have to do this over and over. Eli, oop, on the wrong. People had little cotton gins in their house. They were small little machines. They would feed the cotton in and crank this little handle, and it would separate the cotton from the seeds. It literally meant cotton engine, separated the cotton fibers, that floopy part, from their seeds, and it would allow them to quickly have the part that they would feed through and make material out of. Okay, so it made it more profitable for them. Cotton requires very little to grow because it took so long to pick the seeds from the cotton. Cotton was not considered a profitable crop. The invention of the cotton gin, remember we saw, or we read in the last article, 1787, there was virtually no cotton being grown in the United States. And then, let's see, which year did they say they started growing cotton here? 1820?
1812.
1812. Huge increase in production resulted in so-called cotton boom. 1860s, look at all that cotton being grown. So something happened between 1812 and 1860. Well, it's the cotton gin. That's the something. The invention of the cotton gin allowed, another typo, put a line through this. Typo. The invention of the cotton gin made it easier to remove the seeds from the cotton. It now took less time and less people to grow this crop. People could grow cotton anywhere, even on land put aside for crop rotation. So land would get tired from having the same crops grown on all the time. Laugh. Anybody else need this because it came in late? Anybody else come in late and need this? Everybody else has this? There it is. So if you grow corn on the same piece of land year after year after year, the land becomes exhausted because the same nutrients are taken out of the land every year. And the land becomes less effective at growing corn, and your corn crops will still grow weeds, and it'll still grow corn stalks, but it won't have very much corn on a stalk. That makes sense? It's not very productive, not very successful. So farmers have learned over time, they have to rotate their crops. Cotton doesn't take very many nutrients from the soil. They learned you could grow cotton on land year after year after year, and you didn't have to rotate out crops. And in fact, where what is right there? Hello.
I didn't feel I had to walk all the way downstairs and have to do all that.
And my husband provides me nice tools.
Yes, he does. When I say thank you, all these nice little tools.
And he has a truck full of them. His brother has a van full of them. Yep. And they're down to a 3-man crew now for 90 houses.
Lord, doing what? Building?
Repairing, rinsing, everything. Told you, I got the good tools. The school kind of runs on my husband's tools. Yeah, y'all didn't realize that. Craig's ladder, everything. Yeah. For times I keep his ladder in in the bathroom, but most of the time Craig has to use the ladder. Craig has nice tools. Where, y'all know where Hobby Lobby is?
Yeah, no.
Where Hana is,
Yeah.
and where Belk is. What else is over there? There's a Lee Michaels over there, Cantina Laredo, Buttercups is over there, Chicken Salad Chick is over there. That whole shopping area.
I know what you're talking about.
Yes, that whole shopping area. East 70th and Uri Drive and Kings Highway. And actually the area where JCPenney and Lowe's, all that was all cotton when I was in elementary school and when I was in middle school. Yeah, that was all cotton fields. And actually where Chevy Land is and where Cavender's is and Target is, that was also cotton. Do you remember me telling you when I was in kindergarten, we went on a field trip and we picked cotton and I ate the cotton because I thought it was cotton candy. And I didn't like it because it stuck to the roof of my mouth and I ate seeds too and didn't like it. That was right there where Cavender's is. That's where I ate the cotton.
Why were y'all picking cotton?
They wanted us to see how hard it was to do. No, we did it when I was in kindergarten. That's why I was such a beauty. I was in Texas in fourth grade.
Sounds yummy.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. Cotton doesn't taste very good. And it was real muddy over there. That land was very fertile because the Red River is maybe a mile and a half away as a crow flies. The Red River is very nearby. Where Willis Knight and Piermont is located right now, that was also cotton fields. Not that long ago, guys. I'm not that old. When Adrian was a baby, some of that was still cotton fields. Look at the board of my son. He's only 24, y'all.
Oh, what?
Yes, some of that was still cotton fields then. It's not that old, those buildings. Now, LSUS has been there for many years, but LSUS was surrounded by cotton fields. Okay, so the Piermont Clinic, where my neurologist is, that was cotton fields, not ever, maybe 10 years ago, maybe less than that. That was some of the newest that was turned over. And behind JCPenney, those are fields now. When you see crops that keep coming up, that's the old cotton that's still popping up through there. And that's some old corn that's popping up. Yeah. Those are all fields that have been agricultural for, it seems like forever. Those are our old agricultural fields because they're right there by the Red River. That's very fertile land. That's river overflow. That's great land. So the reason I mention this is cotton grows on not necessarily fertile land. You don't have to rotate out crops. Just like this says right here, cotton could grow anywhere without having to put it aside for crop rotation. Okay. With the invention of the cotton gin, the price of cotton dropped. Cotton could be sold at a good price that allowed planters to make a good profit. Planters that grew food changed to cotton because it's more profitable. They didn't have to keep rotating crops. They could also buy more land in hopes of making more profits. They didn't have to buy land and think about, okay, if I'm going to grow corn for 5 years, what am I going to rotate it with for 3 years to get the nutrients back in the soil? They have to worry about that. They plant cotton all the time. They would also buy more land in hopes of making more profit. When cotton was being sold at a good price, farmers rushed to grow cotton. Okay, so answer that question below that, the first one, second one, third one. Okay.
So if, I know those people who like, if you were to eat cotton, otherwise, would you live
You-
long?
You'd be constipated for that.
Oh,
You'd be needing to alternate with salad, I guess. All that has no nutritive value.
what?
Cotton, it's just fiber.
Not
It depends on what kind you eat. I hate iceberg lettuce. But I like, yeah, I did too until the past year or two. And then I discovered I don't like iceberg lettuce. I like the dark lettuce with honey on it. I like sweet stuff.
I don't like lettuce.
So I'm very picky with my salad. There's only one restaurant in town that makes it like I like it. And it's related. That's how I discovered that I like salad. It has more fruits than it has any kind of vegetable in it. Because it has strawberries and it has honey on it. And it has like these shavings and some kind of other, I can't even remember what they put on it.
Oh, those sweet salad.
Yes, a real sweet salad. Yeah, that's how I make it at home.
The way that my mom makes hers.
And then I put a lot of meat on it, and then I put like sweet kinds of nuts, like almonds or pecans that are like
Strawberries?
Yeah, with strawberries. My salad's very sweet and meat. Yeah. It's a very different kind of salad. When I see y'all salads, I'm like, I'm picky. I'm very picky.
I don't like.
But my salad that I eat is sweet. I love it because y'all are not used to that kind of salad. My salad has honey on it, and a lot of honey. They even eat a steak. I don't like iceberg lettuce. Different kinds of lettuce are so different that iceberg lettuce will kill my what do you call it? My bearded dragon. But the kind of lettuce that I eat, the dark lettuce, with the spinach, is healthy for my bearded dragon.
You like?
Yes,
I do.
with honey on it. Has to be sweet.
You and you're about the same.
With honey on it.
That makes it even worse. Everything makes it regular. All right.
All right, so you have 3 questions to answer. I know that last question, the way the lines came out was weird. Just draw your lines on it so you can straighten it up and answer your question, okay? Just the written one. Come on, Taylor, get to it. Make sure you write your name at the top of it because you're turning this in written, okay? Who was still working on these? Okay. Good thing Ms. Tran showed me how to merge and split documents so that every document is in the same page. Right? Nice to have them as one conjoined document. Okay, so what I'm going to do is go ahead and go on to page 2. You can come back to page 1, okay, guys? Source 2 on page is page 3, okay? British cotton consumption. So you need to know what consumption is. To consume or consumption is the use of a good or service. So when you eat your lunch, you are consuming your food and drink because you are using your food and your drink, right? So British cotton consumption, they are and were using cotton, okay? So this table, this chart is showing us British cotton use, them using cotton between 1800 and 1900. So in 1800, they were barely taking in any cotton, okay? In 1900, how many metric tons were they taking in and using? 800,000 metric tons a year. That's a lot, isn't it? So you have 2 questions to answer on page 3. Based on source 2, what happened to the demand for cotton in Britain between 1800 and 1900? And using source 1 and 2, which means using pages 2 and 3, which is your page 1 and 2 in your hands right now. How did the price of cotton impact the demand of cotton by Britain? In other words, looking at this and this, how did the price of cotton impact the demand? Because if they're using a lot more cotton in if they're using a lot more cotton in 1900, what does that tell you about their demand for it? It went really high, right? So the demand in 1800 was really low. The demand in 1900 was really high. So we know the demand went way up. Now we just got to go back to your information from source 1 and figure out what the price of it was. And that might actually help us if we all go back to this one. See if it says anything about the price. This one didn't really say anything about the price, I don't think. Actually, it does. It says people could grow cotton anywhere, even on land put aside for the crop rotation. With the invention of the cotton gin, the price of cotton dropped. Cotton could now be sold at a good price that allowed planters to make a good profit. When cotton was being sold at a good price, farmers rushed to grow cotton. So what does it say about the price as time went on with cotton? Price did what? Price dropped. And when that price dropped, look at this chart. What happened to demand? Demand went high. Okay. So does that help you answer that first question? I'm sorry. Second question. Did I just pretty much give you the answer? I did. Okay, I see some people already going on the next page. Based on source 3, what happens to supplied cotton from 1800 to 1850? Well, this is 1800. 100,000 bales of cotton. 1860. 8.9 million bales of cotton. That's a little jump. Just a wee one. Sad. And here's the sad part. To go along with this, because this is when the cotton gin would be used, right? It was supposed to make the job so much easier. The theory was that meant less enslaved people. But that's not the reality. Watch what happens. Between 1800 and 1860. 1800, there were 900,000 enslaved people. That's just under, what's that?
They know.
Because they were using enslaved people to help inside homes. They were using them to help raise their children. They were using them to help with their other businesses.
Thank you. They lazy.
Calling it for what it is. Yep. By 1860, instead of the increase in production of cotton causing less use of forced work, way more. Went from less than 1 million enslaved people to 4 million enslaved people. Went up just over 4 times the number of enslaved people. Now, it does. It does. Look, you go from 100,000 bales of cotton being produced to about 4 million bales of cotton being produced. Whatever it's called. That's coming out of Wisconsin. That's a, what do you call it? A scam, yeah. When you have such an increase in cotton and you have such an increase in enslaved people, you don't see how one is causing the other. Do you guys see that? If you're having that much of an increase in the amount of cotton being produced, you're growing that much more cotton. Guess who's doing the work on that farm?
All the slaves.
The enslaved people. Guess who's pulling in the cotton that's being grown? Guess who's running those little cotton gins? Guess who's baling that cotton? That farm is being run, not top level, but all the rest of the positions are being filled. The rest of the positions are being filled by enslaved. Right? So that first question, and I'm giving you guys answers, but I'm wanting to make it clear what's going on, even if that means I'm giving you answers. Okay, I got rid of it. Ow, 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 ow. All right. There we go. Okay, so what happens to supply of cotton from 1800 to 1860? You can see that increased a lot. And then how does supply of cotton impact the slave population in the United States? We just discussed that too, right? Okay. Everybody should have correct answers on those. When I was going through and giving out stuff in the classroom, you get rocky. Those are trim and that's my calendar, and my letters. But I have the rest of my decorations at home, so it's like I have some of my stuff and all my stuff, and I really have all my stuff here before I start doing the trim. It's bugging me because I want to get started decorating, but I have the rest of my stuff there. I need to bring it all up here to do, you know. That makes sense. Understand too, enslaved people were not just African American. Early on, do you remember us talking about Native people being enslaved? They also forced Native people to continue with enslavement, and Europeans were particularly cruel, and they would have offspring of Native Americans and African Americans would also be enslaved.
Their children.
So children would be half Native American, half African American. If I'm not mistaken, they were called mestizos, which would be like my husband. My husband's Native American. He's part Native American. That's why he has the high cheekbones, he's so dark. That's why Neela and Craig are like the same skin tone. That's why he and I look so different.
so pale. Our sons are so pale and Craig's not. Craig's dark. He and I look very different. That's why when Miss Blue was asking yesterday, is your husband Dutch? His name is. His name is Eric. I see he's Dutch. I don't. He's dark. He's not pale like me. I'm like see-through. Craig's not. My darkest freckles aren't even dark as red. Craig's dark. All right, has everybody answered both questions on that page? Okay, we're done. Yeah. Or not using history. Understand America's not the only one that's been colonial that way though. Portugal, the Netherlands, England, Spain have all colonialized lots of countries. Have done terrible things in history. Maybe your hand up before you stretch it. Like Sienna has beautiful melanin all over her skin, protects her from sunlight, and ultraviolet damage to her skin. I don't have a solid layer of melanin on my skin. I only have little imperfect dots of melanin on my skin. And that's what freckles are. Most of you have a solid layer of melanin on your skin. You have freckles? See, a lot of people have freckles and they fade out over time. I don't. I have very imperfect melanin. Craig has a lot of Native American on both sides of his family. He is very dark. He and I do not have the same skin tone at all. The back of his neck, he would be literally where the term redneck comes from because his neck is tan and red at the same time. I get the sunburn every day. So he literally looks like a red sunburnt neck on top of his hand because he's outside the sun every day. Yesterday he was on top of a roof in the rain. So I mean, he gets a sunburn on top of his hand. I mean, he's darker than Mila right now. Mila's face is the lightest part of her body. And every time I give her, y'all know what the LED lights are. They come the nail polish. Every time I do her little feet, she loves it. She loves having her pedicure done. Her mom has only ever had hers done in the salon. Of course, I'm not going to do CSP every time we're do my daughter-in-law's feet. Every time I put Mila's little feet in the little LED thing, she's always just watching because of course she has full toenails will glow. Like last time I did it, it's bright orange color, and then I guess you call it poppy red, like a reddish orange pink, like coral, I guess. She's watching it. Her feet get darker, telling her in there, and she's watching because little Mila's feet are getting darker and darker in her face. And y'all see of Mila's pictures generally of her face. Her face looks pale, like the rest of her body is darker in her face. Kind of odd, especially on these colors. But Craig's honestly like darker than Mila.
What's her tattoo on my arm?
Straight up freckly over there. I got freckles on my face. I've got such an imperfect line. Got freckles on my belly even.
Yep. Yep. I have freckles everywhere. All right, last page. Cotton as a percentage of U.S. exports. So what is an export again? So if you import something, you bring something in. Take something out, right? So like when the doctor was taking out this implant that I had, my heart implant, when he took it out, it was called an explant. X just means to take out. Okay. Yeah, I was working the thing. I even felt it. Okay, so in 1800, cotton was about 7% of exports. 1820, 32%. That's about a third of everything that the country was sending out. In 1840, it was just over half, 51%. 1860, it was 57, so 57% is about 2/3, so it's twice what it was in 1820. So your last question, I think you only have one question on the last page. Yep. How did both the supply and demand of cotton, yes, well, at least 2 or 3 sentences. Everybody hear that? How did both the supply and demand of cotton impact the United States economy by 1860? So remember, the supply was how much of it was available. So you're going to find your supply up here. Okay, that's your supply. You didn't have much supply in 1800. You had a massive supply in 1860. Demand is up here. Supply was not very high in 1800. I'm sorry, demand was not very high in 1800. Demand was booming in 1860 because they're asking about 1860. Okay, so this is your 1860 mark right here. Okay, so that's your demand. Here's your supply. And this is the economy picture. Economy in terms of percentage of exports. Got it? Give me 2 or 3 sentences. Feel your pain. Benadryl cleared in a Flonase, and I'm still like that. Shouldn't drop the pencil on the floor.
The whole list was together.
Something else cool coming up back from my magnets.
Yay! Awesome. Now,
Make sure your first and last name on that first page. It's 1 to 3 minutes for every read.
that's not bad.
You're already all baked up. After you do braces. Hold on.
So everything is done.
Yeah, I when you do braces.
Great. Have you seen it?
Yes, that.
Isn't she the one that plays on Run? Yeah. I'm going a lot more.
Guys, right?
Yeah.
First, last names on it. You're working with Ray. Need a copy of the coffin. Megan, I'm going to stop sharing on this and move this to sharing on my live image. This part is science meets social studies. Come Monday, I can't. This isn't Monday. Social studies, but it won't be live Zoom. Okay. Who is? We're still working on their work. Continue working. All right. If you're reading something, you're going to want to stop doing that. If you have your Chromebook open, you're going to want to close that. Okay. So thankfully, I didn't get rid of the money that Miss Bolton gave me for change from my t-shirt order. So what do we know about iron when it gets wet? What does it do? Rust. So something that I've kind of realized over the years. Did you finish your work, Miss Sensei? If not, you need to be working. So societies like Roman society, Russian times when a country doesn't have a lot of money, when it's facing economic downfalls when it's collapsing. But they still need to make money because they have to be able to trade goods with other countries or within their own country. They still need to make money, but they don't have a lot of money to make really high quality coins or dollars. What's one way they can save money on making coins and dollars? Can they make it out of cheaper things, cheaper products? Well, iron would be one of those cheaper things they could make it out of. Okay. Does our American coins, do they rust? They don't rust. So what do they not have in them? Iron. These don't rust. So if they don't have iron in them, should they be magnetic? No. So, well, let's see. I was trying to find my neodymium magnets. The only ones I know I have are up there, and I'm not going to hurt myself getting to them. These are neodymium. Okay. I'm going to zoom in. Okay. These are quarters. Okay. Let's keep this sucker over here. Oh. Oop, too far. Okay, so everybody can see the quarters, yes?
Yes.
All right, it's not picking it up at all. Y'all see that, right? Absolutely no affinity because it has no iron in it. You see this? No pull. Okay, that makes sense. You don't want your coins to rust. I wish I had a penny to show you guys, but I don't have a penny. But our coins have no iron. We don't want them to rust. Do you have a penny on you?
Yeah, probably. Why you got a penny? I don't know.
If you have one, get it quietly. But watch this. This is an American dollar. You recognize it, right?
Three pennies.
Anybody have any clue why the dollar is coming towards the magnet?
Does it have iron in it?
It does. Why would it have iron? See, this has no affinity for the
So you can tell
magnet.
the difference between real money and fake money.
Perhaps. Watch this again. It is. Watch, guys. Can you see it when it drops back? Do you notice where it pulls? It doesn't seem to be pulling it where it's white.
Only with the dollar signs on.
Well, it's not so much that.
And I'll put on his face.
Oh, you can't see that. Let me move it so you guys can see it. Look. Can you see how much it pulls it off the table? Look at the table. Look. I can almost lift it up off the table with it.
It's a penny. It has the 1 penny thing on it.
But see, it doesn't do that on the white parts.
Only on the black. That's not black. That's dark green.
It is dark green.
What is that? So now we can.
So it's doing it on the areas that has
Dark green.
the dark. It's doing it on the areas that has It's doing on the areas that has dye on it, guys.
Does the dye have iron in it?
The dye has iron in it.
Oh.
Ferrous sulfate is a dye.
That is so great.
It's also in our iron pills.
Oh.
Iron pills that we take for anemia.
What does it mean?
Some people have too little iron in their blood.
Oh.
Okay, so this has iron in it, the dye in our dollar bills, in all of our American dollars. Huh? Ice? No. Okay, so that was something you guys didn't know before, right? Now, these are Russian coins that my son, my middle child, he knows me very well. He knows what a science and social studies geek I am. Russian coin, no iron whatsoever. Let's see if this one does. None. This one, 23, I think it's 1923. 1923 dime. No iron. USSR coin, no iron. Yes, they do. I've got some in here. You see these? These came off 1604, 1598.
What is that? Are we still okay with that?
Those are copper coins off of shipwrecked boats
Oh, no
from
one is.
1604, from 1598. That's worth, you know, several $1,000s.
You could sell that, be rich.
I bought that from eBay. That cost me a lot of money.
You could sell it.
And it's pure copper. Copper's not magnetic.
You
See?
can sell it and get even more for one coin.
I'm aware. Go sit, go sit, go sit, baby. Go sit. Look. I'm trying to get it over here where you guys can. One that is high. Yes. Paraguay, 1996. The fact that they used a lot of iron in it tells you that their economy in 1996 wasn't very good because they had to use a lot of iron to make their coins. Yep. Another one. This one is Hamsini, Cinti, 50. Tanzania. So this is a country in Africa. 1990. Tanzania. It's probably worth way less than a penny.
What's lower than a penny?
Tanzanian coin. Yes, I'm aware. I know I've got several in here. Okay,
Hey, are $10
this one says 1999, and it is a Brazilian centavo. So 1 cent in Brazil. Brazil has had an economic complete collapse. So is Argentina. Oh, extremely. Their people there have tried to take back over their government because they're so upset with their government. No. Philippines. Look. Philippines. 1995. Not a state, a country. Learn the difference. Jamaica, 1990. Ordered it online. eBay.
I hear it.
Yes. Librador, Bolivia. All these are probably worth way less than an American penny. El Salvador, 1994. Can you hear how much they're attracted to the magnet? Listen, everybody get quiet and listen. Stop moving your chair. Be real quiet.
Wow. That's how somebody slept for money.
It does. Somalia, 2005. This one's the lightest one I've picked up so far. I can't believe it's not magnetic. This one is something in the Middle East. I can't even read it. Mali, maybe. Mali, possibly. Antigua. Haiti. Did y'all hear that? Okay, be real quiet, guys. Here's Haiti. Haiti is extremely poor and has they had an earthquake over 10 years ago now, I think, and they are still having problems. They don't even have electricity on the island still. Did y'all hear that? Uganda. Did y'all hear that one? If you would stop playing around, you and people around you would learn a lot more, Logan. I've already talked to you about that. Apparently, I need to contact home. Yes. Okay, so here is something that I've had. It's falling apart now.
Is it $1?
No.
What is that? That's one of the Russian dollars?
No. Just listen. Go sit, everybody. Something you'll probably never see again. No. Whoop. Nope. No, that's not blood. Do you see what that is? Did you read it?
I can't read that.
Confederate States of America, $20. That's Confederate money, y'all. That's from the Civil War. That's from a country that no longer exists. That's from the South. Remember when the South broke away from the North in the 1860s?
Is that real?
Yes, it's real.
I don't remember that.
My mom had it.
Whoa. That's scary.
Yeah, it represents a lot of hatred. Okay, let's line up.
Bye.
Hi, dear.
Library. Oh. Let me go get a book for this.
Go get it. Go get it.
Oh, can I go get my book?
Go get it. Library. Yes, go get it. Let's go.
Why the fuck you got a gum shooting in that picture?